Advice to householders. The master was conversing with Kedar and some other devotees in his room in the temple garden. Kedar was a government official and had spent several years at Decca in East Bengal, where he had become a friend of Vijay Goswami. The two would spend a great part of their time together talking about Shri Ramakrishna and his spiritual experiences. Kedar had once been a member of the Brahmo Samaj. He followed the path of bhakti. Spiritual talk always brought tears to his eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Kedar was very happy that day, having arranged a religious festival for Shri Ramakrishna. A singer had been hired by Ram, and the whole day passed in joy. Secret of Divine Communion. The Master explained to the devotees the secret of communion with God. Master: with the realization of Sat Chit Anand, one goes into Samadhi, then duties drop away. Suppose I have been talking about the Ustad and he arrives. What need is there of talking about him then? How long does the bee buzz around? So long as it isn't sitting on a flower. But it will not do for the sadhak to renounce duties. He should perform his duties such as worship, jap, meditation, prayer and pilgrimage. If you see someone engaged in reasoning, even after he has realized God, you may liken him to a bee, which also buzzes a little even while sipping honey from a flower. The master was highly pleased with the Ustad's music. He said to the musician, there is a special manifestation of God's power in a man who has any outstanding gift, such as proficiency in music. Musician: sir, what is the way to realize God? Master: bhakti is the one essential thing. To be sure, God exists in all beings. Who then is a devotee? He whose mind dwells on God. But this is not possible as long as one has egotism and vanity. The water of God's grace cannot collect on the high mount of egotism. It runs down. I am a mere machine. Master's respect for other faiths. To Kedar and the other devotees, God can be realized through all paths. All religions are true. The important thing is to reach the roof. You can reach it by stone stairs or by wooden stairs or by bamboo steps or by a rope. You can also climb up by a bamboo pole. Many names of one God. You may say that there are many errors and superstitions in another religion. I should reply, suppose there are. Every religion has errors. Everyone thinks that his watch alone gives the correct time. It is enough to have yearning for God. It is enough to love Him and feel attracted to Him. Don't you know that God is the inner guide? He sees the longing of our heart and the yearning of our soul. Suppose a man has several sons. The older boys address him distinctly as Baba or Papa, but the babies can at best call him Ba or Pa. Now will the father be angry with those who address him in this indistinct way? The father knows that they too are calling him, only they cannot pronounce his name well. All children are the same to the Father. Likewise, the devotees call on God alone, though by different names. They call on one person only. God is one, but His names are many. Thursday, August 24, 1882. Shri Ramakrishna was talking to Hazra on the long north-east veranda of his room when M arrived. He saluted the master reverently. Spiritual disciplines necessary at the beginning. Master: I should like to visit Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar a few times more. The painter first draws the general outlines and then puts in the details and colors at his leisure. The molder first makes the image out of clay, then plasters it, then gives it a coat of whitewash, and last of all paints it with a brush. All these steps must be taken successively. Vidyasagar is fully ready, but his inner stuff is covered with a thin layer. He is now engaged in doing good works, but he does not know what is within himself. Gold is hidden within him. God dwells within us. If one knows that, one feels like giving up all activities and praying to God with a yearning soul. So the master talked with M, now standing, now pacing up and down the long veranda. Master: a little spiritual discipline is necessary in order to know what lies within. M: is it necessary to practice discipline all through life? Master: no, but one must be up and doing in the beginning. After that one need not work hard. The helmsman stands up and clutches the rudder firmly as long as the boat is passing through waves, storms, high wind, or around the curves of a river. but he relaxes after steering through them. As soon as the boat passes the curves and the helmsman feels a favorable wind, he sits comfortably and just touches the rudder. Next, he prepares to unfurl the sail and gets ready for his smoke. Likewise, the aspirant enjoys peace and calm after passing the waves and storms of woman and gold. Woman and gold is the obstruction to yoga. Some are born with the characteristics of the yogi, but they too should be careful. It is woman and gold alone that is the obstacle. It makes them deviate from the path of yoga and drags them into worldliness. Perhaps they have some desire for enjoyment. After fulfilling their desire, they again direct their minds to God and thus recover their former state of mind, fit for the practice of yoga. Have you ever seen the spring trap for fish called the satkakal? No sir, I haven't seen it. Master, they use it in our part of the country. One end of a bamboo pole is fastened in the ground and the other is bent over with a catch. From this end, a line with a hook hangs over the water with bait tied to the hook. When the fish swallows the bait, suddenly the bamboo jumps up and regains its upright position. Again, take a pair of scales for example. If a weight is placed on one side, the lower needle moves away from the upper one. The lower needle is the mind and the upper one God. The meeting of the two is yoga. Unless the mind becomes steady, there cannot be yoga. It is the wind of worldliness that always disturbs the mind, which may be likened to a candle flame. If that flame does not move at all, then one is said to have attained yoga. Woman and gold alone is the obstacle to yoga. Always analyze what you see. What is there in the body of a woman? Only such things as blood, flesh, fat, entrails, and the like. Why should one love such a body? Sometimes I used to assume a rajasic mood in order to practice renunciation. Once I had the desire to put on a gold-embroidered robe, wear a ring on my finger, and smoke a hubble-bubble with a long pipe. Mathur Babu procured all these things for me. I wore the gold-embroidered robe and said to myself after a while, "Mind, this is what is called a gold-embroidered robe." Then I took it off and threw it away. I could not stand the robe any more. Again I said to myself, "Mind, this is called a shawl, and this is a ring, and this smoking a hubble-bubble with a long pipe." I threw those things away once for all, and the desire to enjoy them never arose in my mind again. It was almost dusk. The master and M stood talking alone near the door on the south-east veranda. Master to M, the mind of the yogi is always fixed on God, always absorbed in the self. You can recognize such a man by merely looking at him. His eyes are wide open, with an aimless look, like the eyes of the mother bird hatching her eggs. Her entire mind is fixed on the eggs, and there is a vacant look in her eyes. Can you show me such a picture? I shall try to get one. As evening came on, the temples were lighted up. Shri Ramakrishna was seated on his small couch, meditating on the Divine Mother. Then he chanted the names of God. Incense was burnt in the room where an oil lamp had been lighted. Sounds of conch shells and gongs came floating on the air as the evening worship began in the temple of Kali. The light of the moon flooded all the quarters. The master again spoke to M. God and worldly duties. Master, perform your duties in an unselfish spirit. The work that Vidyasagar is engaged in is very good. Always try to perform your duties without desiring any result. Yes, sir. But may I know if one can realize God while performing one's duties? Can Rama and desire coexist? The other day I read in a Hindi couplet, where Rama is there desire cannot be, where desire is there Rama cannot be. Master, all without exception, perform work. Even to chant the name and glories of God is work, as is the meditation of the non-dualist on I am He. Breathing is also an activity. There is no way of renouncing work altogether. So do your work, but surrender the result to God.